Hey guys, welcome to the May Leaders Meeting. I am Whitney Hebel. I am the Superstar Director of Simply Grace and Grit. It is just me tonight. You just get me. Anya is literally on a plane right now. So I'm going to be talking to y'all tonight about building leaders. It's something that we talk about a lot in our group. When I'm talking one-on-one with people a lot, I talk about that for goals as a leader. And you're distracting me. We're going to be talking about how exactly to do that, because I get that question a lot. How exactly should I be building a leader? And the other part of this is you may be in a position, I'm going to mention this a little bit later, where you necessarily don't have that many people to pull from to build a leader, but this is going to help you build yourself as a leader too. So either if you're not doing these things, you should be before you start building leaders. Okay. But first we're going to do April top 10 PRV shout outs, TWV group sales, active frontline, all of that. So April top 10 PRV, Brittany Bryant was number 1. Congratulations to Brittany. Haley Loggins, which is a certified consultant, was number 2. Stephanie Sandgren was number 3. Mindy Hilton, 4. Myself was number 5. Sarah Evans, 6. Sylvia Slutsky, 7. Number 8, Tara Dickerson. 9, Meredith McCowan. 10, Jess Torres. So congratulations to all of you, top 10 in a group of over, I don't even know what it was last month, 900 and some. Congratulations to y'all. You should be getting your postcards if you haven't already. April top 10 TWV, you will notice that we do this a little bit different than other leaders group. We shout out top 10 TWV paid at title. Why? Because even if your TWV is in the top 10 and you're not paid at title, you're not getting the full benefits of being that title. So I'm going to shout out who's working and getting to that title that month. So Simply Grace and Grit, myself was number 1. Paige Rooswald was number 2. Number 3 was Leslie Banner. Number 4, Sylvia Slutsky. Number 5, Brittany Bryant. Number 6, Sarah Evans. Number 7, Shonda Lappin. Number 8, Stephanie Reed. 9, Shelly Ottoman. And 10, Ashley Crabtree. So congratulations to all of you, top 10 TWV paid at title. Group sales last month was $221,338. So amazing sales. Last month, y'all literally continue to blow me away even in the slower months. Most active frontline, I had 34. Anya had 19. Paige had 10. Mindy had 9. Sylvia had 8. So all of this is on the banner every single month. We do that banner so you can see who's doing really well in their business and really who to follow, who to watch, who to listen to. I know that a lot of those people that I just said, they share continuously and consistently on our leaders page. So when anyone shares on our leaders page, you should be paying attention and taking time to go through that page and give it some kind of reaction or comment. I myself try to do that on literally every single post. And I know that if I can take 5 minutes out of my day, everybody else can too, just to go through and read it. We're not too big where we can't go through all the posts yet. So announcements, no meeting next month due to SFR. Whoop, whoop. I can't believe it's finally next month. SFR, Salt Lake City, Utah. A lot of us will be going. And then next leaders meeting will be July 25th. Pinned at the top of Legacy Leaders are all of the dates for the year. We try to give that to you ahead of time to help it easier for you to plan out for those leaders meeting. I get life happens and you can't always make them, but they are planned out. So go ahead and put them on your calendar. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. So first I want y'all to put in the chat. I'm going to pull the chat up for a little bit. I usually put this down because I am super squirrely today. I don't even remember who I was talking to. See, that's just a squirrel moment there where I'm like, I don't even know what to talk to, but I was like, I'm sorry, I just can't concentrate right now. But I want y'all to put in the comments if you are currently focusing on building leaders. There's not a wrong answer to this. We are all at different parts of leadership. So don't ever feel like when I'm asking you questions that there's a right or wrong answer, unless I say there's a right or wrong answer. But I'm just interested to know who is not quite there in leadership to build new leaders, who is focusing on that to build new leaders, and maybe who are, if you're a director above and you're paid a title consistently, you're more focused on building directors. Just put it in the chat. Building myself first, trying to build myself as a leader. Yes, focusing on building leaders. Trying to figure out who to work out. Moving. Pouring more into them. Yes, no, building myself. I'm trying to work on leaders. I'm always building my leads. Okay. I'm just trying to help my girls be successful and see a return on their efforts. Exactly. Stalled out. Need to focus on my own leadership first. Focused on working directors. Yes and no, I have one or two that I'm working with, but focusing on building my team right now. Okay. So all of this, we're going to talk about all this. So that makes me super excited that I am focused on the right things. So I'm seeing a lot of responses that say yes, but, or no, but, and just know that you're not ever going to have one focus in this business. You're never going to be, you may be having like one broad thing that you're working on, but you're never going to have one thing, because you are a leader, which means you also have your own business. Okay. So first thing I'm going to say, I do have some notes down here, so that's what I'm looking at, but leaders build leaders. That's what we do. That is the goal. If you are a lead consultant or above, your goal to grow yourself, grow your paycheck, your team, to help you be paid a title, and to grow just in general is going to be to build other leaders, to help people get to where you are in the business. Okay. You as a leader need to have a few things before you focus on this though. Okay. And I hope you all know what this is. Drop it in the comments if you do. There's one thing you as a leader have to focus on first before you start focusing on anything to do with leadership. Okay. Your business, PRV, your sales. I have it in capital letters. Your sales have to be. Okay. And when I say have to be, this is all my recommendations. And I just want to take a minute to say, and I always usually say this in a training, that whatever I'm sharing with you is from my experience. Okay. I went from star consultant to superstar director in 2 years, and I've been paid a title every single month for 27 months. I promise you, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I have not seen been helpful in my business. Okay. When I'm telling you things, it's not because you have to do it that way or there's no other way, but that's what I have found to be successful. Okay. That's it. You take it, you leave it, you do whatever you want with it. Okay. But your sales have to be squared away. 500 by the 15th is the minimum goal, guys. 500 is not our goal. Okay. Because if you're doing 500 PRV a month, your paycheck is going to suffer. Sales is something that you can control in this business. Literally what you put in is what you get from sales. Okay. You put the work in to sell something, to have a party, to do those things, you're going to see that in your paycheck. That's not always going to happen in leadership. Okay. And we're going to talk about that. So set this as a goal that you will be able to focus. So you'll be able to focus on your team the second half of the month. If you don't have your 500 minimum, you should not be doing anything with leadership. And I know that may hit some people really, really hard and in the wrong part, but that's a mindset thing. And that's why I posted today, are we a growth or a fixed, right? Because if we're growing, we're going to take some accountability and we're going to take some feedback, and what you do with it is up to you. Okay. So let your team know if you're not where you need to be to train them. If you have a training set up on the 16th and you're sitting at 200 PRV as a leader, you need to probably cancel that and be like, I just want to let you know my business is not where it needs to be. I've done that so many times, especially with a Tip Tuesday. Look, I got a lot to do between Monday and Thursday. If by Tuesday I'm not caught up, I'm not doing my Tip Tuesday then. I'm going to do it when I know that my business is squared away for the month or for the week. Okay. So let them know and be transparent with them. That's going to make them trust you. Okay. Because even if you're not telling them where you are in your business, they know. Okay. And when you're putting up a front that you're doing things you're not doing, people will know because they can tell how you're working. They're probably friends with you on Facebook, social media, whatever it may be. They're probably in the leaders group. They can see what's going on, even if you're not sharing that. So be transparent with them. And if you're doing bomb ass things as a leader, share that, guys. Do not be scared to share with your team that you're having an amazing month or that you're still doing really well or whatever it may be. Toot your damn horn if you need to, okay? Because if you're doing big things in this business, you need to share that. But tell them. That's all I put on there. But tell them, okay? Have that communication. Don't just not show up for something that you do every week and expect them to figure out it's because your business isn't where it needs to be. No, just communicate that with them, okay? So the first part of building a leader is going to be to identify. We are identifying the who. So if you're taking notes, that's what you need to write down. Identify the who. Who are your top producers in PRV? Okay. I literally will go through my reports and find who my top PRV producers are for the last few months. You can set it to where you go like January to May so far. So where you can see who your top producers are for the year. You can go month by month if you want. You can, depending on how big your team is, you may not have to necessarily run a report. You can just pull everybody up. Okay. And if you're a team of 5, then pick 1 or 2 people to work with. Okay. Who shows up on your director's page? Who should be showing up from their actions in their business? Encourage them to share. And that's our next point, which is going to be empower. But who is, regardless of what their numbers are, who is always there? Who's always giving good content? Not the fluff, not the random, like, I mean, I'm all for the cheerleaders. Like, that's great. But in the business, for who you want to work with and who you want to pour into, who is showing up to meetings, who's soaking it in, right? Who wants big thing from their business? As their leader, have you asked them? Have you asked them, what do you want from their business? What is their why? Why are they doing this? And I get that that's so cliche, but you really, as a leader, should know one-on-one what your leaders want, right? So I know that Katrina, obviously she's here for the long haul. That's what she's doing. But I do have frontline that have been doing this just as long as her, and they are perfectly fine being a certified consultant, right? But I know that. So I'm not going to sit there and continue to pour into someone who's been a certified consultant, no offense, for 4 years, because that's where they want to be. They're okay with that, right? Katrina wants to be an SSD. So yeah, that's who I'm working with. That's who I'm pouring into. That's who I'm checking with. That's who I'm keeping accountable, right? Why are they doing this? And know that this can change. So check in periodically. If you start to see a change in any kind of behavior in someone, whether it's showing up more or their PRV rocketed, or they started sponsoring out of nowhere, or something happened where they're showing up on social media more, reach out to them and just let them know that you see that, right? Because then you letting them know that you see them could be the start of a relationship of them wanting more in their business. Okay. So who do you see that could be a leader? All of this is identifying. Who do you see those leadership qualities in that you would want to be led by? Make a list of these people and reach out to them. We talked about, what training did I do for that? Oh, it was for the ATF training, connection and conversation. Same thing with your teammates. You should be having a connection and a conversation with them. And when I talk about teammates, I mean frontline or someone who may be a downline, but doesn't have that, their sponsor is not supportive. Okay. So their sponsor's not showing up. Their sponsor's not doing what they're supposed to. And you can tell that by looking at reports. So something I shared the other day that I did, asking certifieds if building a team is something they're interested in. I wish I could have shared those, but I'm not going to because it's a lot of people's personal business. But probably 80% of the people of the certified consultants that did amazing last month, I asked if they wanted to build a team. They either said yes, and they're all in and wanting all the information, or they said, honestly, I am brand new at this. I don't even know what I'm doing. I need to take a step back and figure that out first. Abso-freaking-lutely, girl. Like, I can respect that, right? Ask people who are sponsoring what their goals are and why, right? Because we have people who are sponsoring but aren't promoting. So are they onboarding their people correctly? Are they onboarding them at all? What are they sharing with them? Again, having that conversation, keeping a list of people that you are working with or want to work with. Guys, you have to do this. You have to start keeping a list of people that you are working with or want to work with, okay? Because someone may stick out to you for months and then they kind of take a step back for for there's so many reasons, right? But knowing that they were on your radar at one time, okay? If you have a team of 5, you may not have the options for building leaders right now, like I mentioned earlier. That's where we're going to grow a new team. That's where we're going to sponsor. That's going to be our focus instead of building new leaders or pouring into the 1 or 2 people that we may have. We're going to keep broadening those numbers and widening that front line so you have the options to pull from. Okay, so the first is identify. And I just gave you all the reasons to do, or the ways to do that. The second is going to be to empower them. I know that may sound really silly, but it's really, really important in this business because a lot of people who come into Scentsy or in direct sales in general, they don't have experience in necessarily this type of leadership where they're not necessarily success, but there's a morale of a team. There's a reason that we have these Facebook groups, right? What we do as leaders is share. That's a huge part of leadership, right? So a lot of people don't think they have the value to share or that it's already been shared. I get that a lot. Oh, well, our people have already talked about that. Newsflash, we do the same thing every month in our business. Okay, guys. So you're either doing it or you're not. And as an independent business owner, you're the only one that can change that, right? So the way that I'm doing something isn't going to be the way that Ashley's doing something, right? And the way that I share how I'm doing my party is going to be different than the way that Ashley's sharing how she's doing her party. So telling them, or when they see something that they're doing that you like, hey, can you share that on the team page? I've even been pretty ruthless on other directors' page and be like, can you share that on Simply Grace and Grit? Because that is gold. Okay. It's not necessarily your job as a leader to share all of the things that people need, guys. When you're doing things as a team, you want everyone to be doing it. You want everyone to be sharing. You want and that's why you'll never hear me say that, like what you shared wasn't good enough or what you shared wasn't what we were looking for or anything like that. Because if you're sharing some of the I used to share was silly. Like, I don't even know what I was even talking about. I don't know. But here we are, right? But it started with really getting comfortable with putting yourself out there and putting your ideas out there and sharing that with people and being accepted by our group, which you always will be in a positive state, right? So we share a lot about the same things, but in our own way. And that's the most important thing. You'll never run out of things to train on in this business because you always should be doing something. If you're a leader and you haven't trained in the last week or month or 2 weeks, you can change that. Get on, doesn't have to be live, share a picture of what you're doing in detail and make sure it's replicatable for the team. That's the most important thing. So if someone wanted to do it, they could do it. Okay. That's why my thank you mail is still the same thank you mail that I started out with 4 or 5 years ago, because it's replicatable for my team. Okay. It doesn't need to be a $4 package for every thank you. That's not going to be replicatable for someone who's first coming into this business and sending thank yous. Right. So ask those potential leaders to share on your director's page. That's part of empowering. When you start asking people, hey, can you share that? Hey, can you train? Hey, can you do this? They're going to be like, are you sure you want me to do that? I don't think I have anything to share. You're going to get those answers, but promise me, I promise you, I'm sorry, that good things are going to come from that. Okay. And when one person sees someone sharing, that's going to make them want to share what they're doing. Okay. Yes. Let them know they matter and they have value to share. Literally everyone does. Okay. I don't care if you found the cutest thank you stickers the other day, you need to share them, just like simple stuff like that, that you're working your business, you're adding your own touch. Okay. So we have identify and we have empower. The third thing, played around with the name a little bit, but it's effort and results. Okay. I say effort and results because you're not always going to get results, but you can always have the effort. Okay. I'm going to say that again. I say effort and results because you're not always going to get results from your effort in this business, but you can always have effort. You can always try something. You can always be doing something, right? So I want you to first ask yourself, are you taking action, right? So self-reflect on your business. You can't build a leader if you're not leading. You can't ask someone to do something that you're not doing. And again, You've probably felt a lot where you're not leading the way you want to lead, and that's okay. What's okay is that we're not going to stay there. So our last team meeting was on this exact, or not our last team meeting, our last leaders meeting was on that exact topic on what we do as leaders. Okay. So what effort are you putting in as a leader? It's super important that you have that self-reflection, because again, your team's not going to trust you if you're not doing the things that you're telling them to do. Okay. See if they are giving effort in their business. Okay. So numbers don't lie, first off, but if they want 2K PRV and they're consistently at 500, we need to work on that 2K and make it a little bit more realistic for them. And so we've been talking a lot about goals here lately, because that's my training for SFR. But we're going to make it more realistic for them. We're going to break it down to a 1K consistent month instead of a 2K consistent month, right? And we're going to see if we can do that for 3 months straight. And then we're going to up it to maybe 1,500, okay? Because if you're just sitting at 500 and you're like, I want 2K, sure, you could make that big jump and do it, but you're going to have to make some serious big changes to get that consistently from 500 a month to 2K a month. So really seeing what effort are they putting in to get there, right? So let's talk about it to them. How many parties are we going to have? How many conversations does that mean, right? If there isn't results from the effort and results, then you need to connect with them and see what's going on. If there are results, then you need to congratulate them and recognize them for those. And I know that seems so simple, but it's so important that you recognize what you want repeated in a leader, just like you recognize what you want repeated in a teammate. Okay. So if there aren't results from their effort, something needs to change. Either they're not really putting in the effort, or we need to look at those conversations, right? Or we need to see how their parties are planned. We need to see what their outline looks like. We need to see what their follow-up looks like. What's the last training they watched on parties? Have they been updated on that recently, right? So again, that's going to take that one-on-one conversation with them to figure it out. Now, when you have a huge team and people are like, oh, well, when I have 100 frontline one day, I'm not going to be able to do that. Yes, you will. Because out of those 100 frontline, 50 will be working. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there. Right? That's just how it's going to work. So we always say do for one that you can do for 100. Yes. But you also have to realize that these are real people. They're not just a number. So as your team gets bigger, yeah, you're going to have to reach out to more. You're going to have more one-on-one conversations. It's going to take more of your time, but you also are going to figure out how to identify and empower them first before you pour into them until you figure out if they're a drain or a fountain. Okay. The next and last part of building a leader is accountability. And this is the part that people do not like. They don't like accountability, guys. Why? Because it puts them on the spot. Like we talked about in the growth and fixed mindset, that feedback part at the bottom is hard. It's hard for you as a leader to have those hard conversations with people, especially if you're friends with them. Awkward, right? But it's also hard to receive feedback that's not necessarily positive. Okay. But that's where we separate friendship and business. And we have to realize that if we were at a 9-to-5 or typical job, which this is not what it is, but if you're coming to a leader or if someone's coming to you for feedback and they say that they want to grow their business to this, they want to be a director in 6 months, they want 2K, they want all these things, but then they never show up to team meetings. Awkward silence, right? Because that's awkward. They say they want something, but they're not putting in that effort. And that's where that awkward conversation, that accountability has to come in, where it's like, I'm here to work with you if you want this. Eventually, from my experience, I have learned that they said, you know what, I just can't do it right now. It's not the right time for me, AKA they don't want to make it a priority. And my response to that always is, that is totally fine. When you're ready to put the work in, when you're ready to focus and you want to work together, let me know. I'll be here. Because I'm always going to be here, whether you're here or not, right? As your leader. And that's what I can say confidently as a leader, because I know that I'm here to stay and not everyone else is. But I'm not going to sit back and tell you it's okay that you don't ever show up. You ain't ever going to hear that from me. If you want to do big things, if you're a certified consultant and you don't want to grow your team and this is just literally a side gig and you're getting paid off your purchases, no, I don't expect you to show up to team meetings. right? That's expectations. That's communication. Okay. But once you have leaders, you have to teach them how to be a leader in our business. So what's that look like to me? That means leading from the front. We've talked about this a lot. Leading from the front, training, sharing, showing up, know the way, go the way, show the way. Okay. So this is an ongoing process. I personally am still learning to be a better leader every day, to be a good leader, to say the right things, to respond at the right time, to not respond at any time. I'm still learning all that, right? So no one is a perfect leader. Okay. You're going to have those hard conversations. You will have to get uncomfortable and have conversations with your leaders and future leaders by keeping them accountable. Right. You got to show up to grow up. Exactly. And that's the thing is, I understand that and it's not just about showing up. That's an important piece of it. Right. But you have to put time in to your own business before you expect a leader to. And if you expect that as a leader, people are going to respect your time more, because a lot of times as you grow your group, you're going to have a lot more eyes on you, and they're not going to see you as a human. They're going to see you as a Walmart, open 24/7, accessible at all times. Okay. And until you have to set those boundaries, right, and have those hard conversations, like, I'm not here 24/7. I do have a family. I do have a life, right? But again, that's where that accountability comes in, where it's, if you want to do hard things, let's do it, right? But if you don't, that's okay. But don't sit here and tell me you want to do hard things, but you don't do hard things, right? That's me personally. Those hard conversations are going to have to happen as you grow. They're just going to have to happen. It's not going to be ugly. It doesn't have to be a certain way. It doesn't have to be rude. But I think when you're talking to someone about something like your business, and you have, say, a group of 500 people, right? You have to be a little bit more selective with your time and who you pour into and who you allow, right? Access to. So the last part of that accountability is giving them action, right? So they say they want to do these things, give them action, give them something to do, right? Something to work on. Sometimes people don't know what to do to build their team. Okay. And this goes right back to the 3 legs. How are your sales? Good. Move on to sponsoring. How many conversations have you had? Right? Easy questions. Numbers don't lie. Sales aren't good. Okay, let's take a step back and let's figure that out first. Where are you at with that? What is your goal? If you want to lead, you need a 500 minimum by the 15th. Setting those standards where it's not 500 by the month, because if you're waiting until the last week of the month to get your 500, then you haven't had time to work with your team. And if you're working with your team without your 500, then you're not being no one's going to be able to trust you. That's not having integrity and working with someone and telling them to do something you're not doing. Okay. Then move on to how they're training team. So the 3 legs, literally PRV, sponsoring, coaching, training. You as a leader are doing the same. So that's the other part of this, is that people forget that we still have our business too. So letting them know, yeah, I'm working on that too. I'm working on my conversations this month, right? That's what me and Megan Moore did the other day. When me and her literally messaged each other for every message that we sent for our sponsoring. That's what that 16 conversation deal was. The other, was that last week, right? With the group, where it was that accountability of all ranges of people, from literally certified to director. Okay. I think our SDs were in there too. So that's the other part, is that we're all working our business too. We have to do those things. We have minimums as leaders too. Okay. So tell them that you're working on it. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them what's not working. That's part of the sharing. Okay. And guess what? On the first of the month, you're going to start all of that over again. Okay. You're going to identify, you're going to empower, you're going to take action, and you're going to give them accountability. And those are the 4 steps to building the leaders, finding them, working with them, doing all that. And the last thing I'm going to leave y'all with is something that I say a lot. If you've been around a while, you probably heard me say it, but recognize what you want repeated and ignore the rest. And that may sound some type of way to you, and that's fine if it does. But when you start recognizing what you like, what you want repeated, and then not responding to things that you don't want repeated, not having a reaction is a reaction. Okay. The biggest thing is that you focus on, as a leader, you're pouring your personal time into building someone else, right? So if someone's literally sucking the life out of you, I know that may sound silly, but it's true, giving you negativity, giving you negative feedback, doesn't like the way you do things, this group is optional, training is optional, all of that is optional, right? Right? That's good parenting advice. But it's true. Recognize what you want. It's the same thing for the kids, right? If they're over there farting in the corner, I'm just going to ignore them. But if they're cleaning their table and putting their dishes away, and be like, yes, thank you for doing that, right? It's the same thing. So I just want y'all to focus on that, because a lot of times I have leaders come to me and say, oh, well, no one's showing up, or no one's doing this. First, we have that self-reflection, and then we say, okay, but who is doing that? And that's who you want to recognize. I spoke to a director last month about this with building leaders, and she said, out of my 5 leaders, 2 responded. Okay, well, we're going to recognize those 2 leaders for stepping up and saying that they want bigger things and working on it, right? We're not going to focus on the ones that didn't respond. Why would we do that? That's fine. That's their personal choice. But we're going to recognize the people who had the conversations, who did the hard things, right? And that's where your mindset is. And it's really hard to not have a reaction, especially me. Like if you're in person, my face, you know, but it's something I'm working on, because not having a reaction and not allowing people in your space, because it's going to happen. And I don't want to put that negative spin on leadership, but it's just the truth. Someone said earlier, leadership is not butterfly and rainbows. It is hard. It will take a toll on you as a person, I promise. So that's why we recognize what we want repeated and we ignore the rest. All right. Does anyone have any questions about that? It is. It's hard to not take it personal when people give up or stop working, but it all goes back to your why. Why are you doing this, right? Why are you continuing to show up? Because every single day I can say I show up. Every single day I'm working my business, I can say that I'm doing that. And I can say that 100%. It may not be in a way that someone likes. It may not be in the way that someone else would do it. But you have to remember why you're here. Okay. And someone not working is not your why, right? You'll find your people, I promise. If you keep going, you'll find your people in this business, and they may not be a downline, right? They may be in a total different group. We have 2 groups in this leaders page, but working with someone, you know, side by side, either as an accountability partner or just answering questions for other people, that's going to help you in the long run, right? And if you don't have downline that are meeting these 4 things, time to build a new team. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.